Cloud and Clear, the podcast by SADA for innovative business leaders and technology enthusiasts, where we explore how Google Cloud is transforming the industry and what that means to you. Now here's your host, Tony Safoian.
Today is a very, very special day on Cloud and Clear because we have a very different kind of guest. We have a guest who is not only from a major airline at the midst of a global pandemic, one. Two is that he's in a people group, in the HR executive role, which is not too common for a Cloud and Clear audience. And the third, of course, my very first guest out of East Asia. Welcome our very special guest, Khurram Zia from AirAsia.
Hi, Tony. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been looking at your podcast for some time now. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, well, I've been following all the amazing work that AirAsia is doing as a poster child of Google Cloud and everything that's possible, especially amongst airlines. I mean, I'm sure you appreciate how innovative the rest of the world and the ecosystem looks at the work that AirAsia does. So I'm very excited to talk to you today.
Same here.
Before we dive into that work, I really want to know more about you as a person, your career trajectory, how it all came together. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So as you know, it's a complicated name, so you can call me Mo throughout the conversation. So I've been with AirAsia, with this great airline for the last almost 1 year. I joined here from Nokia. I've spent around a decade in Nokia, and it was time to move on to a new and modern organization. And AirAsia was it just simply topped the chart because of the people, the atmosphere, the management, and it was just a perfect move at the perfect time.
Well, from the outside, it certainly seems like the hub of innovation, and it's so exciting that it's happening, in Malaysia. What are some of the things that make AirAsia so special?
See, AirAsia, actually, it's for me, when I joined, it was a total surprise that an airline could be so technologically advanced, and they have a perfect digital agenda, and they have they're looking beyond being an airline only. So I'll just give you a little bit of vision and how things are at AirAsia. So AirAsia's vision is simple: allow everyone to fly. And this goes for internal and external people as well. For internal, it's allow everyone to fly means that allow everybody to grow in this organization. And for external, it's simply because of it's a budget airline. We want everybody, to be able to fly. The airline itself was founded in 2001. AirAsia and sister company called AirAsia X have grown to service in 150 plus destinations in more than 20 markets.
Wow.
We have around close to 300 aircrafts, and we operate 11,000 plus weekly flights from 23 hubs across the region.
That is a remarkable reach. That is amazing. And, airlines are not the easiest business to operate. We know that from the U.S. market and the global market and other developing markets in India, et cetera. They're very hard to make work. It seems that you also took this role because, you're head of, HR, right? So it's a people element that's something special about the airline in terms of something excited you to come there and own HR. So do you think that's correlated to the success of the airline? And if so, what is that connection?
It is actually. So I'm heading people operations, Tony, for the group. Just imagine. So we talk about airline as an airline, right? But for AirAsia, we say that it's a travel tech company. Just imagine an airline with a fintech company, airline itself, a trip planner, a travel agent, which is airasiago.com, an e-commerce platform, which is airasia.com, reward system, online store, a restaurant, a logistics company, and a startup investor, which is called Red Beat Ventures. So It's a combination of so many things that makes this company great.
How do you look at the HR function? Like, how many employees right now?
So the total headcount, so we call our people all-stars. So we have 24,000 plus all-stars in the group. And so we call it people and culture. Our department is called, in short, we call it PAC, which is people and culture. And I'm taking care of the entire people operations for the group.
Wow. Well, look, there's no more trying time probably, especially in PAC, people operations, HR, than right now in this moment in time. And I've been saying that there's no bigger test for a company's strategy and resolve and financial diligence and all this. But at the end of the day, there's no bigger test of its people and culture than what we're experiencing right now. And I can only imagine how much more amplified it is if you're really in the sphere of one of the most impacted industries on the planet, which is airlines, in the midst of COVID-19. So how have you been handling that? I mean, are you working like 22-hour days for the last 3 months, or like what's going on over there?
It's been busy. And as you said, it's a testing time. But I think, all these testing times define the leaders as well. So our leadership, including the group CEO, Tony Fernandez, he has been so involved with people. So, constantly in touch with the teams, in virtual town halls where he explains the situation of the market. And the best thing is that he's very positive. He looks at the situation that it's a learning experience for all of us. I mean, for me, this is the first time that something like this is happening, and for many others as well, and especially the younger generation. But the way he goes through the business situation on a very regular basis, I think that is what keeps us moving. And then our country responsible people are in touch with the government officials on how things will be looking like in the coming months. So yesterday in Malaysia is the biggest market. We have 10,000 all-stars here. It was announced that they are relaxing the movement order, which is we call it MCO, which is movement control order. And then our internal flights, the domestic flights will open, and we are already seeing that the domestic flights have a 60 to 70% attraction.
Wow. Yeah, and I know a couple of people that have flown recently, including some people within SADA, some people at Google. And their experience, as they're describing it, seems so, it's challenging because it's very different than before. There's all these additional measures and precautions and restrictions on just the tactics of how to get on the plane and how everything operates. I can only imagine the planning around that. But what did you have to do operationally with the people? Like, did you experience some of the things here that I've seen in, US and Canada? Were there furloughs? Were there layoffs? Like, how did those things happen over there and for your all-stars?
Yes, so the best thing about AirAsia is until now we have not announced any right-sizing activity within AirAsia. So what we are trying to do is we're using people. So of course, when your birds are down, the crew is not busy. So what we are doing is we are utilizing them in different organizational areas.
That's remarkable. Some of the U.S. airlines can learn from AirAsia because it's actually frustrating for us as business people running relatively small businesses when some of the largest businesses have a decade plus of just phenomenal financial performance and all this demand and expansion. And then the moment that there's any kind of a hiccup, they can't handle it because they've given away all their free cash flow and stock buybacks and all these weird things. So they really can't weather any kind of a storm. And you're here, and then there want bailouts, immediately. And you're like, I can't get that at SADA. Like, I have to actually be diligent in planning for a rainy day. And so I really want to applaud, obviously, you and your leadership for those decisions, because I think it really speaks, like, that's a true test of culture. It speaks to, we have the long-term vision. We know this is temporary. We're not going to create a short-sighted relief that's actually going to hurt us in the long term. And people, because it's not like they can go get another job right now either. So it's just a remarkable show of affection for your all-stars. And I was figuring that was going to be the answer. So that's why I asked you, because I knew that was going to be in stark contrast with just some of the things that we've seen. So it's ironically, I expected the answer, knowing everything I know about AirAsia.
So you see, our Tony, I'll say our Tony because I'm talking to a Tony as well. So our Tony is, he's very clear. So let's say, I think most of the organizations, when we do the headcount budgeting, right? So we also proposed something. So let's say we proposed the 2,000 headcount increase for this year. So Tony was very clear. So rather than hiring those 2,000 people, utilize the people who are free right now. And this is not a long-term thing. Once we are back to flying, we are back to normal, which might take some time. And he's okay to do the rest. And this is really every single all-star really appreciates this kind of leadership.
And that builds loyalty and all sorts of, feeling of comfort. Like you have your employer really cares about you, and I think that goes a long way because. Not every organization operates that way. So again, I think some of these cultural elements I see in common with other companies who turn to Google Cloud, make the journey with Google Cloud. And certainly AirAsia, again, is one of the most visible and proud case studies that we see, believe it or not, all around the US. Like we see it everywhere. It's not like I traveled to somewhere in the Far East and saw AirAsia Google promotion. I mean, I saw it here, like main stage, websites, next conference, etc. So obviously what you've done there is special. But what's your perspective of why AirAsia turned to Google Cloud? What was AirAsia trying to solve with Google Cloud?
See, you might have seen a few of my articles actually, when I have said that Google Cloud is the best fit. And this is something when we realized only a cloud service could meet our needs, and when we started evaluating the market as an airline, we conducted proof of concept and found Google Cloud was simply the best fit for our business. It was, we were already familiar with Google Cloud, having deployed G Suite, collaboration and productive applications. Mm-hmm. To our workforce in all the countries except China, as you know. Products like Forms, Docs, Sheets, and Gmail delivered a considerable improvement in our collaboration between various departments, as well as streamlining and automating a range of processes. We were excited about, the BigQuery analytics data warehouse to power our digital transformation, which, we Tony and our leadership talks about our digital transformation in the next 5 years. We knew, the data was a big part of making decisions in the future. So we needed a platform that could scale to meet our growing appetite for it. And Google Cloud, in particular BigQuery, was ideal for the task.
So on the G Suite, I have a question about G Suite and then about GCPs particularly, because they kind of impact different parts of the business in different ways. So from a G Suite standpoint, because you also own culture, like what's the correlation between using G Suite and driving culture forward?
See, it's in most of the organizations, a lot of organizations, this tendency of going in, one organization, because, AirAsia is a combined airline of 7 different airline operating companies. So we have Malaysia AOC, we call it AOC, which is Airline Operating Company. We have Thailand, we have India, where we have a 49% stake. So we wanted to insist that we go ahead with G Suite to have a standard collaboration suite, rather than someone having different tools without naming any. So we wanted to have a consolidated and a streamlined approach for the whole organization.
Yeah, and I think one thing we've heard in the type of organizations, there's a lot of retail that operates like this, healthcare, certainly in hospitality, travel, airlines, is the paradigm is no longer, you have so many employees that don't sit in front of a desk.
Yeah.
With a desktop.
Absolutely. And, they have these handheld devices. So, with the beauty of G Suite is that it can be accessed anywhere. You can, modify things anywhere at the go as well. So there have been times when I do not carry my great Pixel book. I am on the phone and doing things.
Yeah.
And everything is on the go. So especially our ground staff, Tony. So the ground staff will not, we have around 4,000 ground staff, right? They would not carry laptops everywhere. So everything is done on handheld, everything.
Mm-hmm. But then they feel like a first class citizen in the world of your communication and collaboration strategy, because they get the same tools as all the executives, right? As the pilots, like everybody, there's no tiering. Like, okay, you can have email, but you can't because, it's expensive or it's hard to deliver to you. I just love how in those types of organizations, a lot of organizations are rolling out email to everyone, where before they weren't doing that because it's restrictions around accessibility and security and price and things of that nature. So I love that you've done that. I know that they appreciate, again, having the same tools. Like I'm the one, handling the bags, but I have the same platform as the CEO. I think that's powerful.
Absolutely. It is.
Yeah. G Suite first, and then later on adopted, Google Cloud, some of the Google Cloud services. And so what were the services there that stood out? Again, because some organizations, especially traditional enterprise, they seem to think it's all commodity, like it's all the same. It doesn't matter which cloud provider you choose, it's all the same. Yeah. Obviously, you've chosen GCP for a bunch of things for a reason. I'd like to hear from your perspective about why GCP.
Yeah. So see, for us, BigQuery and Data Studio are just two components of the broader ecosystem, right? And we have deployed this in AirAsia. Now, the reason that it provides a scalable message queue that enables us and our developers to integrate systems hosted on Google Cloud or externally. We are also running the middleware for the APIs in a managed Google Kubernetes engine. And, the deployment and the testing from our engineers, the feedback is amazing that, the stability of Google Cloud services means, that we have reliable base from which to launch new products and features. If we have consistent reliability from our core systems, Google Cloud incorporates monitoring tools such as Google Monitoring that enable us to identify issues quickly. Developers and our product engineers can focus on turning ideas into reality rather than just keep thinking that whether it's possible or not possible. And with a minimal number of people's involvement, we can quickly transform an idea or thought process into deliverables. Now, prior to Google Cloud, bringing these ideas was literally impossible.
Yeah, I love the way you're talking so passionately about technology and the tech stack, coming from an HR-related leadership role, and this is something that we drive forward, and even the way that we talk to potential customers or involve line of business in these conversations is like, in the past, this is not something, the people operations team would even know about or care about, but like you are the customer of your IT organization, you are one of the business leaders, and even like you are as familiar as anyone else, as any leader, about why you've chosen the platform. That tells me that within AirAsia, there's a real partnership between the IT organization and line of business.
Absolutely, Tony. So in my organization, in people operations in AirAsia, we have 5 pillars, and one is actually the technologies. So my technology team talks to the IT very closely, and we ensure that, our identity solution and our Gmail, everything is integrated with Workday, with our master, HR database as well.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, because that's the new paradigm of how we engage with customers. Before, it was just about talking with IT or engineering or the infrastructure teams or the data center teams. But now, and you're kind of validating this for me now, which I didn't expect actually, that even HR leadership is that ingrained with the technology strategy and is involved in those decisions and the outcomes of those decisions, which seems to be something you're proud of and happy with. I mean, Google has helped change that culture within the company where the line of business is leveraging this partnership with IT to deliver great solutions to your all-stars. And I love hearing about that. A couple other areas which I know is a huge concern for people in the people organization is security. Right? Like security is very meaningful. Of course, customer data is very important, but so is your people data. So what's your perspective on how security works in Google Cloud and all of Google Cloud? And how did that weigh into your decision to go in this direction?
Yeah, I mean, see, one of the reasons why we went for Google Cloud as well, it was because of the robust security. So, as AirAsia, we are relying on security health analytics. It's a product that integrates, with Security Command Center of AirAsia to identify misconfigurations and compliance violations. Our Google Cloud resources can take actions based on that. We call it SHA, which is Security Health and Analytics, ensures the airlines' budgets to keeping customers' travel costs low rather than recovering from security breaches. This product actually enables us to check that resources are configured properly and are compliant with our civil aviation benchmarks and its critical workloads, which runs in Google Kubernetes engine and App Engine.
Amazing. Scalable, fault tolerant, secure. Yeah, I mean, those are, especially with an airline, with all your fluctuations in demand and traffic and all those things, I think it's...
Yeah, absolutely. And, the best thing is now anyone on our team, even non-security professionals, can go to this dashboard and see the list of misconfigured assets and compliance violations. So, it saves us, from civil aviation audits. If there's an audit, we have the record, we know what we are doing. And this works on all of our Google Cloud resources.
Creates transparency and trust within the organization as well, right? You're making those things visible.
Yep.
One of the newer things, I don't know how new it is for you, but certainly on the newer side for us is Dialogflow. And my understanding is AirAsia has deployed Dialogflow in some capacity, and I'm really excited about it. The whole contact center AI and Dialogflow tech stack is super exciting for us. We're doing a lot of work in that area. How have you guys deployed Dialogflow?
Oh, so Dialogflow is in wide use for us. So with Google Cloud well established in our in the roots of our within the business, we are using Dialogflow for conversational interface with our customers. And it basically enables our businesses to create engaging AI-powered voice and text-based interfaces such as chatbots and voice apps to streamline operations and definitely reduce costs. The whole idea is to enable us to respond more quickly and efficiently to our customers.
And in multiple languages as well, right?
Oh yes, yeah, it is in multiple languages. That's the beauty of it, and it's it has resulted in the initial deployment of Dialogflow in AirAsia's operational areas, from crew scheduling to internal business tasks.
Wow, that's fantastic. I think we're just scratching the surface of what's possible, but what's exciting for me about all of CCAI and Dialogflow, it's like the first very readily available, relatively easy to deploy commercial application of artificial intelligence.
Yeah. You have to have the right implementation partner as well, Tony. With this, we are able to provide pilots and crew and catering and other teams with flight times, capacity, and any other relevant information about their assignment. And if they're, usually the crew and all, they submit their medical certificates before flying. And now, with this COVID-19, I think Dialogflow will be in much more usage than ever before, because medical certificates are very important to update in the tool itself for flying pilots and crews, and who are unable to make rostered assignments. They can switch those assignments to other pilots and crews with the help of Dialogflow.
Amazing application. It improves the user experience and saves costs at the same time. At scale, it's just very few things that can achieve both of those things, at the same time. We've seen the same thing. We have call volumes for public sector and other places right now peaking like you wouldn't believe. I mean, you would believe because you've seen it, but like, how else do you handle unexpected call volume of tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, or millions of people? Now you can put Dialogflow in front, give them close to a human-like experience, but like with an ability to get answers for them that are meaningful, that understand their intent, and kick off other workflows and change statuses. And it's really exciting. And then, again, I feel like only Google Cloud could have developed that, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And the beauty of Dialogflow is that, as I mentioned, that we have implemented this in operational areas from crew scheduling and internal business tasks. Beyond that, beyond crew optimization and overall safety, we have implemented this in our people and culture department, where we run a post-orientation engagement program for new employees.
Amazing.
With employees about their issues, from parking to AirAsia's onboarding buddy program, saving at least my teams from scheduling one-to-one meetings.
It's amazing. So internal customers and external customers. Oh, that's fantastic. It seems like you're using so many parts of the platform. Seems like the airline's going to recover in a fantastic way from COVID-19. So if you were to make some predictions about AirAsia, where do you see AirAsia going as an organization in the next 3 to 5 years?
I personally believe that AirAsia will be, as Tony says, it's a digital airline which owns a few planes. So we are moving into we are going to implement the total digital agenda for the airline, where all, the sister companies and all the subsidiaries will work together as a complete travel tech company. As I mentioned, we have around, 10 different companies that makes up AirAsia, which is, again, a fintech company, which is called BigPay, a trip planner, which I mentioned before, AirAsia.com, e-commerce platform. Our logistics company is growing rapidly, and especially with during COVID-19, our logistics company has really come on the forefront to do new business, and it's going to hit the market very soon. Our restaurant, Santan, it is doing amazing. I have tried myself. It's really good.
Yeah,
our online store.
Once you get the customers, you want to provide everything to those customers related to their travel experience, right? And that's a wonderful thing.
Yes, and we'd like to continue with our part of our culture is our life at AirAsia, where we have programs which engages every all-star so much with the organization and with the community itself. We have an excellent program called All Stars Do Good, where we work with our AirAsia Foundation. The program connects our all-star volunteers to with social enterprises outside, and we support the needy people. So we distribute food and clothing. Especially during COVID-19, we realized that their daily wages were struggling outside, and we collect over 4,000 meals in a month. Wow,
that's fantastic. That's so good to have the private sector contribute back to the public good, in a meaningful way. And I think it just speaks more and more to your culture. I really enjoyed our conversation today. I think our listeners are going to learn a lot. And it's, we don't generally do work outside of US and Canada. So a lot of our audience, for them, it's going to be the first time hearing the depths of AirAsia and prospective customers and others who are thinking about this journey. I think are going to be very impressed and hopefully inspired and motivated, both culturally and technologically, to follow some of the steps in which you certainly have been leading. So I appreciate your time today. Thank you for sharing so much knowledge with our audience, and it was great to have you on Cloud and Clear.
It's a pleasure to be here, and just for the listeners, so we fly to Hawaii. So we're starting our Europe sector as well. So yes, try AirAsia. It's a great airline to fly with.
Thank you, Mo. Thanks for being my guest.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to Cloud and Clear. Check the show notes for links to this week's topics. And don't forget to connect with us on Twitter @Cloud and Clear and our website, sada.com. Be sure to rate and review the show on your favorite podcast app.